The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast, is brought to you by, well, of course, you. If you want to learn more about where you can support the show, go to patreon.com/thearena_podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast. This is episode 45. I'm your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burly of BurlyMenGaming. Burly, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Happy to be here again.
Yeah. How's Microsoft treating you these days?
Microsoft with Game Pass is great. Microsoft in the computing world, they can go die with a fire. Though I am loving I've been working overtime. I'm going to be working quite a bit of overtime for the next little while.
Yeah.
Anyone that's working in IT, if you know of Printer Nightmare and all the latest CVEs, my heart goes out to you.
Oh, okay. And like we said in last week's episode, of course, and as Burly was saying, his name has been redacted on Twitter and everything. It's time to introduce the new member of the arena, new member of the family here, turn-based Carl. Carl, welcome to the team. Welcome to the family. How you doing, man?
Oh, doing great, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks for letting me be part of this.
Yeah. So why don't you let some of the people and listeners out there that don't know you a little bit about your background and how you got into gaming and what type of games you like to play?
Okay. Well, I guess I'm here sort of because I used to run a podcast. That's where my experience of that comes from. A Superhero's Journey, it was called. It was just about superhero movies, TV shows, anything else related in that genre. Star Wars came up a lot, as it would. Mm-hmm. I mean, in my personal life, this is a fun fact. I have a bachelor's degree in Bachelor's of Arts in game design.
Oh, awesome! Awesome.
Yeah, but here the catch is that it's from a school that is no longer in business.
Oh, really?
So it looks kind of bad on a resume when that's like the first thing there, and they look it up. It was all right. They didn't really know a lot of what they were doing, so my that curriculum there wasn't too great. As far as getting into gaming, so I can remember the first game I ever played was a pole position arcade machine at like a pizza parlor.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, and like going with my father and just seeing that thing, and I just had to play it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, Atari, Nintendo, playing all the classics on there, your Zeldas and Marios, but also Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior. Mm-hmm. That's where my RPG stuff started. But it wasn't, I guess, until Final Fantasy IV, or as I knew it then, 2, that really got me into that genre and really cemented my life as a gamer, because the story and the things that were going on in that game were just so much more than anything else I had played before that. And to realize that level of storytelling could come to me in a video game was just something that I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to love for the rest of my life.
Awesome. Well, it's Burly and I, we're really excited to have you join us, and we're looking forward to having you as part of the team, Carl. So welcome in.
Thank you. Oh yeah, one more thing. And you teased me at the end of last episode. You said I like third-person shooters. A little bit of a mistake there.
Okay.
I'm not out here playing lots of Gears or I don't know, Outriders or something.
Okay.
It's third person. If it's third-person stuff, it's really action adventure games.
Okay.
Like your like Horizon or Tomb Raider and Middle-earth: Shadow of War.
Okay.
Those type of games.
Okay. I stand corrected, man.
Yeah. And of course, my namesake, turn-based RPGs.
Yeah, that's right.
Doesn't need to be said.
All right, man. So before we talk about what we've been playing this past week, here's a brief word about where you can find the podcast.
Before the crew discuss what they have been playing, this episode of The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast, will be going to Patreon in early access for a day after recording. So if you would like to support the show and become a patron at the entry tier 1 level at $1 per month, you get early access to every episode and listen ad-free, along with other perks, including exclusive post-show content, plus special bonus episodes. Please visit patreon.com/thearena_podcast for further details. On Sunday each week, the podcast will be uploaded to all free podcast services where you can find us on any podcast app for iOS or Android, Spotify, Amazon Music, and on Expat's YouTube channel, Expat 2020 Gaming. Just download your favorite podcast app or open Spotify and search for The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast. Subscribe, follow us, post a review, and leave us questions, comments, and feedback if you like, if that feature is available there, and spread the word about the podcast. We also have a Discord called The Arena Podcast, where you can join and chat with the Arena Podcast community, and the podcast website is at expat2020.podbean.com, where you can follow us and leave questions and comments as well. Finally, you can also follow us on Twitter at The Arena, AMPGNP, as well as on Instagram at The Arena_podcast. Now, back to the show.
Okay, Burly and Carl, this week I've just been going back to the Outer Worlds. I've been playing the Peril on Gorgon DLC. Just going through that. And it's funny how, when you're running around in the ship, you can actually sprint in the ship. But what I've noticed when you're on Gorgon itself, Gorgon is like this asteroid that's been added to the map, of course, in the DLC. When you're walking around and then you want to try to sprint, you can't. You can't sprint at all. So it's like you have to go from point A to point B, which is maybe, 300, 400 yards away or so. It's just walking. I mean, so it takes 5 to 10 minutes just to get from point A to point B to start what you need to do. I love the dialogues and, the campaign, the shooting is it's fun and all, and I love to level up my character when it comes to, persuasiveness or intimidation when it comes to the dialogues and talking with other characters in the game. But it's just that having to move from point A to point E to B to C to D, it's time consuming, man. It's time consuming. I don't know if it's some type of glitch that's in the game and some patch that'll come later that'll fix that. But if you're on the ship, you can sprint around anywhere. But then when you go outside and when you're on Gorgon, you can't even run. You're just at a walking pace. So
it's just that particular asteroid planet? Not planet.
Yeah. That I remember. I mean, it's been a while since I've been to the other planets, but on Gorgon especially, though. Yeah.
Yeah, that game actually, it does something I think really interesting as far as being an RPG that is a first person, mainly shooting. In that it has, I think it handles the party members really well because you can have them do specific things. You can command them. They have like their special moves that they do, which are really cool.
Yeah.
And you can even play. I made a character that was like specifically like me myself wasn't really the strong aspect. Like I was focusing on like commanding my teammates and giving them buffs. Mm-hmm. And then just being the persuasive guy, it's cool. Like the way you can theory craft your character and play that game in a very unique way.
Yeah. Burly, what have you been playing this past week?
I actually just started trying out Psychonauts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to prepare for the new game coming out next month. Mm-hmm. It's a really fun game.
Yeah.
The writing, I love the writing in it.
Yeah.
I just did the how would I say it? The Godzilla mission. For anyone that has played the game, you'll know it, and it's just like the writing in it is just awesome. So I can't wait till I finish that because I've been streaming that. My one little issue and complaint is the camera control, and that is horrible. It's like I don't know if that was just a thing in 2005 where people couldn't figure out the camera control.
Yeah, maybe.
It's probably the case, yeah.
But I can honestly recommend it. If you have Game Pass, try it out.
Cool. All right. And Psychonauts 2 is coming out soon, so we're going to be talking about that a little bit later in the show. So, Carl, what have you been playing this past week?
Still working my way through Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Yay. Good old Yakuza, yeah.
I think about 50 hours in.
Ooh, yeah. That's about right.
I'm up against a wall right now because there's, in the entirety of the game so far, it's really only been 2 boss battles that I've run into that are like very, very difficult. Everything else is like kind of a breeze for the most part, as it goes with like turn-based RPGs. If you're prepared, if you level up a good amount in between, you're probably not going to have too much trouble.
Yeah.
But these guys, man, they wreck you. And I'm just, God, boy. But otherwise, like, yeah, I'm really loving this game. I mean, it's like, I don't know if people consider this AAA, but I look at it, I'm like, this is AAA, right? Like,
yeah, I think it's AAA. Yeah,
I've heard people say it isn't, but I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah,
but like, this is what I want to see out of turn-based RPGs from other companies.
Yeah,
I mean, just the incredible amount of like the animations for all the attacks and characters. I mean, it's beautiful. I love it. It's just that's what you need. That's like, why do we all think like love Final Fantasy VII is because of the limit breaks, right? Like we were just in love with those amazing, cool, elaborate attacks.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, the story was good. You got to have that too, which this game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. The Yakuza games, they have some great storytelling, and the same with Judgment. We're going to be talking about Judgment as well a little bit later in the show. So, yeah.
Yeah, but the story is really good. There's a one part somewhere in the game where I'm like, this feels like a side story. But then once it gets back to being about like the main character, then like, this is great. Because the main hero, Ichiban, he's fantastic. And you're really going to like his story a lot.
Yeah, it's funny. Ichiban in Japanese means number one. So,
and they talk about that in the game for sure.
Yeah. So. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. And it's interesting how, Sega decided to change, the Yakuza series to turn-based, because now Judgment, like I said, we're going to be talking about this a little bit later, but Judgment, of course, has stuck with the traditional style of combat system from the Yakuza series. But now with the Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon, they decided to go turn-based. So it seems to have worked out so far. So.
Yeah. What really works is, I mean, I didn't really play the other games. I tried the first one, but you have a party, right? And I imagine in the other games, that's just not something you can do because you're a brawler. You're just hitting button combos and, button mashing all the time. You're not swapping between characters. Yeah. Maybe you could, but not so much teamwork going on.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about Psychonauts 2 featuring an invincibility toggle. We're also going to be talking about Ghostwire Tokyo being delayed. So another one being delayed. Also, Ghost of Tsushima Iki Island expansion details leaked. Netflix wanting to add games within the next year. And then, of course, we were talking about Judgment. The series could be possibly ending over a PC version disagreement. And our topic of the show, of course, Turn-Based Carl. He's with us now. So this week's topic of the show, our favorite turn-based RPGs. So we're going to talk about that. But first, of course, the big news that dropped while I was sleeping yesterday. And Burly and we did a YouTube video, a discussion of the Steam Deck, not the Stream Deck. So remember now, don't confuse this, because the Elgato Stream Deck was announced the same, like, hours later. So anyway, the Steam Deck, Valve Steam Deck was announced starting at $400. So Yeah, it's going to ship in December of this year. It can be plugged into a monitor or TV and used as a PC. So, what do you guys think? Is the Steam Deck a handheld for you? Burly, why don't you start?
I'm trying it out. I did do yesterday. The reservations opened. I did reserve one. I was gonna go with the whole joke and say I had connections and they're gonna send me one, but it was like, I know if I would have done that, you would have been like bullshit. I reserved the 256 gig model.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, you know what, the 64 gig, as nice as that would be, I'd rather have that NVMe SSD because that's just so much more attractive. I can't, because here in Canada, for the 512, you're spending $800.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Before the tax, so it's like I cannot justify that. So, but I've reserved mine. They say expected order availability Q1 for 2022.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Well, yeah, but like if you go, like I'm on their page right now for Canada at least. The 512 you can't get to Q3. The base model not till Q2 of 2022. Like they were flying. I heard reports of people saying, yeah, you can't. The page, if you go try and reserve, it crashes and all that. So,
yeah.
But,
Carl, is this something for you, or are you going to pass on the Steam Deck?
Carl from 10 years ago would probably be all over this. It's a really cool piece of tech. Like I love these cool like miniaturized like PC things. I had something. I had this like really tiny laptop from HP once that I got. Just always looking for something really small that I could like run emulators on. Right.
Yeah.
But today, I mean, if I had money to blow, maybe something I'd grab. But I don't really need it right now. I don't know what's this device's place in the market will be. I know there are people who are questioning, like, oh, does the Switch have anything to worry about? And I'm like, no, why? I mean, this is the thing that people need to understand is that this thing runs SteamOS, and the Steam games are Windows-based games, mostly.
Right.
So you're running through this Proton compatibility layer.
Yeah.
I just heard about it and started reading about this stuff to figure out what this was. And I'm like, you can go on the protondb.com website and like look at the compatibility. I'm checking like, let me see, some games that I played, like State of Decay 2, and it's like silver level. And silver level is like, yeah, you're going to have problems. I'm like, okay, great. Thanks. This is an enthusiast device, and I don't know if it maybe will come to the level one day where, someone who wants like a Switch type device, where like just going to grab it and it's just going to work without any trouble. Maybe it'll be there one day, but at launch, prepare to have a lot of problems.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the Switch, I still think a lot of people out there are still going to use the Switch as their indie machine, whereas this, the Steam Deck is going to be more for those type of people that are already into the Steam ecosystem, and are playing a lot of games on Steam, PC-oriented gamers, in a sense. Will it kill the Switch? No. And I mean, out here in Japan, and I was telling Burly about this during our YouTube video on youtube.com/expat2020gaming, that in Japan, this thing might not sell very well. The Switch is going to dominate the market still, because, a lot of people, especially children, are going to be playing, indie titles, and of course Mario and Zelda, the traditional, first party games on the Switch. So, but yeah,
it's also huge. I mean, it's a monster, this device. It's like holding a keyboard in your hands.
Yeah.
Trying to play.
How do you guys feel about the thumbsticks, the positioning of the thumbsticks on this thing?
Well, I I think it's. I mean, I'm an Xbox guy.
Yeah,
I like offset thumbsticks, but
Yeah.
in this, I mean, inline's not a problem. It works, and but when you look at this device, I'm like, yeah, I see why they did it. I mean, that symmetry with the pads, the touch pads, they had to do it.
Yeah. Do you think this will? And Burly was talking about this. Burly, you were saying that like Alienware and some other makers might start making hybrid models of this. What do you think, Burly?
Oh, I think within a year, because they're going to wait, like Alienware and some of these other companies are going to see how this affects the market and goes well. If it goes over well in the market, and then make their own high-end. And Valve has said, yeah, we're open to working with anyone. We're all for this. But one of the things like that made it for me of ordering it is you can get Game Pass on this. So having some of these Game Pass games on the go is a very attractive option to me.
Yeah.
Right. But now that is unsure how that's going to work. I think you might have to actually install Windows on it to do that.
Yeah.
You can do Windows, but I think they said they're going to have something for support, but you also have the xCloud streaming that you can do through the browser on there.
Oh, sure. It is streaming. Yeah. Okay. But the point is to run the games native, right? That's why you buy a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to try, like, if you bought that 64 gigabyte version, like, first of all, you can't play pretty much any AAA game because you just can't install it.
Yeah.
You can play one.
Yeah.
And then if you want to install Windows on that 64 gigabyte thing, I mean, good luck. Windows is going to take up possibly 60 gigs. So
you can de-bloat Windows 10 pretty good.
Yeah,
you got to know what you're doing and looking for a few things, but there'll be ways to get maybe like 20 gigs of Windows.
It'll be interesting to see how much the micro SD cards are going to cost for these things. Yeah. All right,
I mean, it's using a standard micro SD, right?
I think so. Yeah. So, because I remember with the Vita, those SD cards were just amazingly expensive, way overpriced. So, but I don't think that'll be the case with this at all. But yeah, and then my other concern is battery life. You know, they were saying that Portal, I think it was Portal, was played for like 5 or 6 hours on one battery charge, I think it was. So it'll be interesting to see how long of a battery life this has compared to like the Switch, which is, you know, the Switch has always been had problems with battery life. So
yeah, they give an estimate of 2 to 8 hours, and that's obviously depending on the type of game you're playing.
Yep.
Switch is similar in that, especially with they had an updated version. I don't remember, but the battery life was significantly better.
It was a bit better with the updated version, I heard, but the 2 to 8 hours is kind of standard for something like this because, like, I've had a gaming laptop in them before, and that's what you're gonna get. Let's not mince. Let's be serious here. Like, I saw some people that are criticizing this thing for, like, they're like, well, on the $399 you can't give us like 20, 30 hours of battery. I was like, do you know how much more the cost would have to be? Just to have a giant battery for that, you're out of your mind.
Battery's already really big, actually, in that device.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just depends. People keep saying, as you read things about it, that if you're going to run games at a higher frame rate, and that's going to kill your battery quicker.
Yeah.
So I gather, you know, you're probably looking at a lot of, you know, running your games at 720p or 800p, it says it is, and 30 frames per second.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. And I guess a solid 30 frames per second is better than the Switch. But
yeah. I'm going to hold off on this thing. I'm not going to get it right away. I mean, if it does really well, then I'll consider it. And then I'll take Burly's suggestions on it. So Burly can tell me all about it later.
Well, I was going to say, you can't get it actually because it's not coming to Japan.
No. You guys would have to ship it to me. So, and of course, Carl Burly would probably charge me extra taxes for it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
I'm just kidding, dude. I'm just kidding, man.
I was gonna say, have you been talking? Have you and my manager actually been talking?
You know, by the time he gets another one to send you, the Switch Pro will already be out.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Or who knows? PlayStation might make a Vita 2 by then. Who knows? I don't know.
Oh, frick. They ain't going to go on that market again, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah,
Hey,
but there's been all these rumblings, of course, no speculation here of whether it's true or not, but there's been rumblings that Microsoft is making something, but I don't think so.
After seeing this, and the buzz around it, I could see Microsoft doing that because they have the Series S, which is obviously even significantly more powerful than this device here. But if they can pare it down to run target 720p, 30 frames per second, they could make a device that runs pretty much the same as a Series S, just at those lower specifications.
Yeah, they could. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think, like Burly was saying, about like Alienware and these other, makers, they're probably kind of watching to see how the Steam Deck does before bringing something out. And so maybe Microsoft is kind of, just kicking back and gonna kind of watching this to see how it runs, So
and if that happens, that gets popular, and all these other companies start making these, that will muddy the waters. There will be less things that are designed specifically to run well on the Steam Deck, which I think hurts the device.
Yeah.
Unlike your, Series S is a good example. Like, that's the lower spec, but because, and even Switch as well, developers are optimizing specifically for that platform and that hardware.
Right. The
games will run better. You won't have problems. You're gonna have games crashing. You're gonna see it on Steam Deck. It's gonna happen a lot.
Yeah. You heard it here first, everybody. Yeah. All right. Okay, well, let's move on. Invincibility in games. So we're going to talk about that now. Psychonauts 2 to feature an invincibility toggle, as all people should be able to enjoy games. So this comes from Adam Bankhurst over at IGN.com. So Double Fine has revealed that Psychonauts 2 will feature an invincibility toggle, as it believes that, quote, all people should be able to enjoy games, end quote. Double Fine shared this bit of news on Twitter in a response to Xbox's Twitter, saying that, quote, beating the game on the lowest difficulty is still beating the game, end quote. Quote, if you beat Psychonauts 2 with the invincibility toggle on, you still beat Psychonauts 2, end quote. Double Fine wrote, quote, all people should be able to enjoy games, all ages, all possible needs. It's an ongoing and important process for our industry and a challenge we need to meet. End of the day, we want you to have fun, to laugh, to experience a story that affects you on whatever terms you want, end quote. So, guys, for me personally, I'm getting up there in age. I love to be invincible in certain types of games. So, I mean, I could deal with an invincibility toggle. But then there's people out there on Twitter and a lot of people out there that are like, you're not a true gamer if you're invincible in a game, or, I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? Carl, let me start with you on this one. What do you feel about this invincibility toggle?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. If you want to play a game and it's for some reason too difficult for you, for whatever reason, if you're older or you just don't have the time to put in to master something very difficult,
Expat.
Or you're disabled.
Expat. No, not disabled.
No.
Not yet.
You might have a disability, whatever. There's reasons why people cannot get through games. But if it has a rich story and you want to get through it, or even if you just want to experience the world, I mean, the Dark Souls, Bloodborne games, which everybody wants to gatekeep. I mean, those games have really beautiful, interesting worlds and really awesome creature design. And even if I can't necessarily get my way through it, maybe I do want to see those things and explore those areas
Yeah.
And watch those monsters do their thing. And, but I mean, everyone should be able to play these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Burly, what about you?
I think it's a travesty on gaming that you're doing. No, I'm kidding. I couldn't. I was gonna try and see if I could sell it, but I couldn't because it's like I'm almost making myself laugh with it. No, like this is a good thing. Who cares that like people use that? This is all about having fun playing a game.
Yeah.
Like let's not mince around. It's all about having fun. There are games that I have dropped because either the controls or something are bad, but I'm interested in the story, but because of certain aspects, I can't finish the game.
And
it's like, well, it's too bad. I can't enjoy the experience, the rest of the experience or story. Or I've heard of games where friends have told me, yeah, this is a good game, but you have to grind an insane amount. And it's just like, I don't have the time, nor do I care. Why can't I just have an easier route just to experience, have fun with the story?
Yeah, like I was telling you, Burly, I haven't started it yet, but I have Returnal on PS5, another roguelike. And I'm really not looking forward to playing that game. Of course, I want to play it, but I'm really not looking forward to playing it, man, because, I'm going to die several times. And I'm the type of person, I'm not the most patient person in the world when it comes to roguelikes. And I wish in those types of games there was an invincibility toggle, where go ahead, Carl.
Those games are very frustrating, and I don't really feel like it's worth my time to, let's say I'm playing that game for 2 hours and then I die and then I lose all my progress for the last 2 hours.
Yep.
I feel cheated.
Yep.
I feel angry.
Yep.
And I don't want to feel angry after playing a video game.
Yeah.
It's weird because like this discussion is wholly of like this generation, last generation.
Right.
Because going back, let's say as far as I guess maybe PS2 era, you had Game Shark, and before that you had Game Genie, and you wanted to cheat, you just did it. No one stopped you, no one talked, and people loved it. It was fun. You could, it was like I could get in there and there was codes that would manipulate weird things about the game, and you would actually have more fun playing the game in this weird, different way.
Yeah.
Invincibility mode is going to allow you to, look at every corner of Psychonauts 2, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so next up, story number 3. So another game has been delayed. PS5 exclusive Ghostwire Tokyo delayed to 2022. So were you surprised about this at all, guys?
No.
It's just another one falling.
As I said at the beginning of the year, we're going to have a lot of delays. So this one did not shock me.
Yeah. So there was a statement released on Twitter by Tango Gameworks. Quote, "We want to get the game in your hands as soon as possible so you can experience the unforgettable version of a haunted Tokyo." Tokyo's haunted anyway. That we've been hard at work building. At the same time, we're also focused on protecting the health of everyone at Tango. Our new release window will give us time to bring the world of Ghostwire to life as we've always envisioned it, end quote. So, I mean, I understand they're thinking of all of their staff and the health situation. And of course, I would be the first to say, especially out here in Japan, where most people have still not gotten a coronavirus vaccine. Only the elderly have gotten coronavirus vaccines, and health staff, like healthcare workers. I myself, I'm into public education. I just got my ticket last week to get a coronavirus vaccine, and we have the Tokyo Olympics starting on the 23rd, and we're going to have tons of people out in the Tokyo area, and they can't go into the venues because those venues are all shut off. Basically, nobody can go and watch any of the events. So what are people going to do? They're going to pour into izakayas, which are bars. They're going to pour into other places. And they're probably not vaccinated. And the coronavirus, cases are going to continue to spike. So, I mean, I can understand this in a sense, but a part of me kind of thinks there's probably something else going on as to why this game is being delayed. I mean, there must be some kind of development issues. I don't know. That goes for all these games that are being delayed, but I don't think it's just the them worrying about their developers getting sick. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, this is a Japanese studio, right? So
yeah, Tango.
Yeah. I don't know how they're handling the work from home, if that's something that's going on well over there. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
But I mean, everything's getting delayed. Warhammer Dark Tide was just delayed to 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's the way people don't want to talk about this impact of COVID delay. I mean, people like the internet, but like it's like a thing where people don't want to believe that this is actually delaying video games, and then there might be some other reason. But like, no, this is it. This is why.
Yeah. Burly, have anything to say about this?
Yeah, it's not surprising it's delayed, and yeah, COVID's going to delay it because I can tell you from some jobs are easy to work remote, some are not, especially with game development, because normally you would have a developer and like a bug fixer right there together, sitting beside each other. You can't have that now. You got to do that all over on Zoom Zoom team meetings and all that.
Right.
So that is so much harder, and then you got to deal with, okay, Johnny's got good internet, but Johnny's not the guy sharing the gameplay, the stuff he's doing. It's Timmy over here that has your crappy like dial-up level of internet.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Expat there for a second, Burly. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's not me. That's not me. Yeah.
They probably have some killer internet in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Depending
not
where you are.
Not as good as Korea. South Korea, though. South Korea is number one. But yeah, we're close enough, I guess. My last question about this before we move on, though, is Ghostwire Tokyo is another Bethesda Software's game, right? Yeah, it's Bethesda, just like Deathloop, right?
Yes.
So there's an exclusivity deal with Sony with this game, of course, like Deathloop, right? So I wonder if this delay is going to, in any way, shorten the exclusivity deal.
Oh, I highly doubt it. I'm sure the contract would state 1 year from the release date, whatever that may be. I mean, we're seeing that with the other one,
Deathloop.
Deathloop, right?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate for Microsoft, and you want to think that they're going to try to play games with that somehow, but they respect clearly the process of making games. And, if it has to delay the game on their platform, it is what it is. You want the game to be good.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking, PlayStation, they would not like shorten the exclusivity deal because of a delay. There's like, it's like, no way.
Those guys are cutthroat right now.
Yeah. So
if there's a way in the contract for Microsoft to do that, I could see that happening.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I'm sure Microsoft has looked into it to see, because they're not stupid. They want to, you paid all that money for Bethesda. You want to see if your lawyers and legal team can find some loopholes to take advantage of. Yeah. But I'm sure that it is like Carl said, it's 1 year after the release date of the game.
Yeah.
So I think they've looked and were like, well, you know what? Let it just go to PlayStation. As soon as it can, we'll have it day one on Game Pass.
Right.
And see how that affects our subscription based.
Right.
Because anytime these major games come to Game Pass day one, I'm sure they're getting a good spike.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so much coming to Game Pass, you know, we're going to be talking about that later in the show for July. But I mean, there's a lot that's coming out later on in the year and into next year that they're probably not too worried about this game right now. Once it comes, it comes. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, they're just going to slot it into their schedule for whenever, you know, the year after is, and they'll work around it with their releases. I mean, next year is going to be insane for releases and all the delays. And I could even see that games just being delayed because it's too crowded, and they're like, well, let's just give this more time. It was supposed to come out this year, but we still have our other game from last year. You know, that's going to happen too.
Yep, Carl, next year is going to be insane for sure. Yep. And of course, we will be busy.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even just next year, next month.
Yeah.
Within like 5 days of each other.
Yeah.
As a content creator, I'm going to go insane with the amount of stuff I'm going to have to do.
Yeah, next week's episode, we've got like 16 games on the list for new game releases already. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. So, okay, let's go ahead and move on. So, Ghost of Tsushima. So, Burly and I, we were talking about this a little bit before, the Iki Island expansion. The details leaked, actually. So, now they're saying that this game is going to be about a 15 to 20 hour expansion campaign. So, this is from the PlayStation Lifestyle. An anonymous quality assurance tester posted the leaks on the r/Ghost of Ikishima subreddit. The leaker explained that they have previously worked with other, quote, prestigious companies in the past. So anyway, they're saying that the Iki Island expansion will add around 15 to 20 hours of new gameplay with a, quote, well thought out, end quote, plot that was interesting and in many ways, quote, better than the main story of the game, end quote. That remains to be seen. But anyway, so here is, I'm going to read some of this off, a list of the key additions the leaker claims will be reportedly coming with the expansion. Iki Island, the size of Tsushima Island's bottom portion, which is pretty much the case because Iki Island is a smaller island than Tsushima. New heavy armor sets, new medium grade armor with bow and melee perks. So they're saying unlike anything else in the game and looked totally different. New light grade armor with increased stealth and bow damage, as well as 25% faster attack speeds. It goes on, and upgrades for swords and bows. Short bow now has a zoom feature upgrade. So those are some of the features that are coming. But if this is true, 15 to 20 hours of new gameplay. How do you guys feel about the $30 for an upgrade? Does it justify a $30 upgrade now if it's going to be 15 to 20 hours? Burly, I'll start with you on this one. What do you think, man?
No, that's a travesty. No, I'm kidding. Hell yeah, this goes. If that amount of gameplay for DLC for that price, I would say that's pretty damn good. In my opinion, because I've played some DLCs that you've paid quite a bit of money, and the content, the amount you get is pretty horrible.
So do you think this is kind of like on the lines of Uncharted Lost Legacy or like Spider-Man Miles Morales?
I was going to say, I think this is like Spider-Man Miles Morales. I haven't ever played Lost Legacy. I'm meaning to check that out.
Yeah, that campaign was about 10 hours long, I think.
Yeah. Miles Morales, your first run through, I could see take you 10 hours, but once you've beaten the campaign once, you can go through it pretty quick.
Right. Yeah. Carl, does this 15 to 20 hours of new gameplay justify a $30 upgrade?
It justifies a $20 upgrade, which is what it costs.
Yeah.
If you're on PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
And you want to stay on PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
And that's where I have the problem with this. I think the DLC sounds great. If you loved Ghost of Tsushima,
right,
and you want to play more of it, $20 is a good price for what you're getting there. It's just that extra $10 to the PS5 version upgrade. Yeah. I can't get behind something like that.
Yeah.
You got to think about the way I look at it is that imagine this happened and there's no DLC, right? There's no Iki Island stuff.
Right.
And they're like, hey, here's a PS5 upgrade, and it's $10.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think anyone's going out there, champion that idea? Doubt it.
No.
No. Even as much as I love the game, no, I wouldn't be championing it.
Yeah.
There.
So I mean, 15, 20 hours, people, that's probably the extent of it, because I did play Ghost of Tsushima, though I didn't finish it. I got very much like open world fatigue from that game. I didn't find the story all that compelling. It was fine.
Yeah.
So when they say it could be better, I'm like, yeah, actually you could do better. So maybe it's a bit more focused and compelling with the characters.
Historically inaccurate. You heard it here, folks. I will go to my grave saying that. Yes. I've gotten heat on Twitter for that. And I actually had an exchange with Yoshida-san, who's the indie head of the indie development now at PlayStation. Him and we had a little bit of a tweet fest. And then, of course, after complimenting him and everything, then everybody, just blew up on me about, so what if it's not historically accurate? It's going to be a good game, so whatever. Okay.
And then Shuhei blocked you.
No, Shuhei didn't block me at all. Actually, we were speaking to each other in Japanese. It's like, he's a cool guy, but, everybody's like, oh, you're just kissing his butt. No, I'm not. I'm just paying respects, respect to him, and he respects me too. Yeah, so whatever. Yeah.
I have a good question for you guys about DLC like this. How much do you like it, and how often do you play it?
It depends on the game. I mean, for me, I know you're talking about, Carl, fatigue when it comes to these open world games. But Assassin's Creed, obviously, I love that series. And, I've pretty much played every DLC that comes out for the series. So it really depends on the game for me. Burly, how about you?
Yeah, it depends on the game. There are some DLCs I've bought in, and it's like, man, I felt like this was a ripoff. And then there are some that are just great.
Yeah.
I don't buy a lot of DLC. I'll be completely honest. It really depends on the game and depends on what the DLC that they're advertising. I usually don't go day one. I usually wait and see how it goes. Like one of the best DLCs, but I don't know it's an expansion, was Dragon Age Origins Awakening. If anyone's ever played that.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
When I think about DLC, I have to really go all the way back to like Skyrim to remember a DLC that I really loved and played a lot of, which was the Dawn Guard expansion.
Wow.
Because that actually like got me to play that kind of the whole game again in a different way. So that, I got a ton of value out of it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I find that like these DLCs are generally like, all right, we're just going to, reuse assets. We're going to write new stuff and we're going to modify, maps and things, and right to add content. They're not building completely new things. And a lot of times you feel that.
Yeah.
Even games that I loved, like Outer Worlds, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to buy the DLC. Didn't. Wasteland 3. I was
Carl.
super excited. Yeah, right. I was super excited for Wasteland 3 DLC to come. I was watching the announcement, and then when it came out, I was like, I'm fine.
Well, like Gears 5, Hive Busters, that was a great DLC. I loved playing that. Something like that intrigues me, I'll get. But
yeah, that's a cool self-contained. I think those would probably work better, because when I think about trying to go back and play Outer Worlds DLC and Wasteland DLC, I'm like, well, what save game am I playing, right?
Yeah.
Where am I in the game that I can go back to that point?
Yeah. Speaking of the Outer Worlds DLC, it's they had to patch that because before you couldn't, if you finished the main story in the Outer Worlds, you could not access the Peril and Gorgon DLC. Yeah, it's like you have to be in a certain part of the main story to be able to access it, and so it took them like weeks to patch it. so that people could start that had finished the main story to actually get in and play the game. So play the DLC. So,
Yeah, I don't understand how they didn't think of that in the beginning when they made this. And I'm assuming that's the case for Wasteland 3 because there's a part at the end of that game where you can't go back to the open world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so if I save my game there, I probably can't play the DLC.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So next up on the list, you guys have Netflix, right?
I got my parents' login.
I have my friend's login. I haven't paid for Netflix in years.
It's okay. I give them Disney Plus. So
yeah. See, that's the thing. I give Amazon Video and Disney Plus for Netflix.
Okay. Well, there's of course the story this week, Netflix, and this was one of my. I don't know if you guys remember this, but during our 2021 predictions episode, I mentioned this about Netflix. So Netflix wants to add games within the next year. So I was like, one of my predictions is coming true. So the company hires EA and Facebook exec to lead the project. This is by Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon. So Netflix will expand its streaming service to include video games, quote, in the next year, end quote. According to a Bloomberg report, the streaming platform hired a former Electronic Arts and Facebook executive, Mike Verdu, to head up the project. A report from The Information in May suggested Netflix was looking for a video game industry executive to expand its streaming lineup. It was reported at that time that Netflix is considering a, quote, bundle, end quote, of games like Apple Arcade. However, Bloomberg reported Wednesday this week that games in Netflix video game expansion will be added alongside the company's current selections, quote, similar to what Netflix did with documentaries or stand-up specials, end quote. Okay, so Verdu has worked on The Sims, Plants vs. Zombies, and the Star Wars franchises. Netflix expects to hire more positions within its games division, quote, in the coming months, end quote, Bloomberg said. So what do you guys think of this? Netflix joining the fray and getting into gaming?
Okay.
Add the tumble.
Just
like,
feel free to
first?
jump in whenever you want, guys.
Burly, you can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, it's not surprising that they would try to go in this market.
Mm-hmm.
I think we may be seeing the end times for Netflix. Because they already have quite a huge debt for creating content and buying content.
Mm-hmm.
Gaming, I don't know how well they're going to do on this because you're either going to get some really little, like, cheap little flat, like, basically, like, old Flash games on there kind of thing. Because I can't see them getting, like, giant AAA, like, Square, one of the, like, big Final Fantasy games on this.
Yeah, I mean, do we think that they're going to do some sort of controller support, whatever, go through it? I mean, if you're watching it on a gaming console, then using Netflix, then yeah, you can just use your controller. If you're on any other device, I mean, Apple TV, there's a controller for that, right? I believe.
Yeah. And probably also with your smartphone too. I mean, like, what was it? Black Mirror Bandersnatch? You could actually use your phone with that. So
didn't they have the Minecraft, what do you call it? The Telltale game on there? I feel like that's a thing that happened.
Might have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I mean, Netflix, I mean, Burley, you mentioned like them having debt and like this being a problem for them, but like, Netflix pulls in so much cash. Like their debt does not matter. I mean, it's like the national debt in like America. Like it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. But I saw a fun comment. Someone was making a joke about how like, oh, what if they turned the hit Netflix Castlevania series into a video game?
Yeah. I saw.
And I was like, but you know what? Netflix would be smart. Why don't they go to Konami? Why don't they say, hey, we'll use your IPs. We'll pay for your IPs. We'll make Castlevania and we'll make Metal Gear Solid on here. Who else is doing that? So far, they haven't let anyone.
Yeah. And some of the Witcher content, I think, too, is going to be based on the video game, right? I think. So.
Yeah, they said that they're going to have some extra. It's probably just costumes, I imagine.
Maybe, yeah.
Skins.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're putting Henry Cavill's skin of Geralt in The Witcher 3. I remember seeing that.
I'm sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, they already had skins in The Witcher for the main characters, like Yennefer and oh my god, what's her name? Well, Ciri, and then who's the third? Did you guys play it?
Triss.
Triss, yes,
Yeah.
Triss.
The guy that's played the least amount of time knows the names.
Hey, Yennefer was my girl when I played it. Although,
Yeah.
when I got to the end, I kind of felt bad. I was like, maybe I made the wrong choice. I don't know. So who knows? When I play that again, which I intend to when the next gen update comes out,
cool.
I'll make different choices.
Did you guys hear about all these other media outlets are starting to throw this out there about PlayStation joining with Netflix to start putting PlayStation games on Netflix? What do you guys think of that?
No, that ain't gonna happen. Sony barely chugs out their games to go to PC on Steam.
Yeah.
I can't see them working with Netflix.
Yeah.
I just can't, because Netflix has to have the infrastructure to have their games working properly. Because let's say we'll use Horizon, for example, the first Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
If you put that on Netflix, let's just say, but it doesn't control well and all that, and stream well, it's not going to look good for Horizon and on Sony. So I think Sony will be very protective and be like, yeah, we don't want to do this because there's too many factors that this could go wrong.
Yeah.
But now they could just use Sony's streaming service. If they made a deal. Right.
Yeah.
There's no reason that they couldn't. I don't know what servers Sony uses. I know Netflix uses Amazon, if I'm correct, I believe. I think that would be an interesting deal, because if you look at Sony is the only movie picture studio that doesn't have its own streaming service.
Yeah.
Like, their content is on all kinds of different things. So actually, there is a good partnership if you look at Netflix. And so if Sony Pictures gives Netflix all of their movies and Netflix gets some video games, they wouldn't give them all.
Right.
There could be something there.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with the Spider-Man, license and everything. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, they have 8 million Spider-Man movies in development.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't wait for that Aunt May movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Spider-Man in the multiverse. Yeah. We shall see. Yeah. Okay.
The MCU one's going to be great. Let's not joke.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Yeah. Okay. So, I know, Carl, you have not played Judgment yet, right?
Nope.
No. And Burly, you have not played Judgment either, right?
No, I'm just slowly going through Yakuza 0
Okay.
at the moment.
Yeah. Well, Judgment, I've been raving about it for the past few episodes. I mean, it's a great game. The story is amazing. And the actor that plays the main character, Yagami, his name is Kimura Takuya. He's a famous actor. He originally grew up with a boy band that went into TV dramas and music and singing. And I'll just say it right here now. I don't care what anybody says. They're all crap singers. They're better actors than singers. So that's pretty much the way it is with most of these boy bands. I mean, these talent agencies are looking more for the acting than they are the music. But they pump out the music and get them on stage, and it brings a lot of money in. But anyway, report that Judgment, the series, could possibly be ending over a PC version disagreement. So this is from Brian Ashcroft over at Kotaku. So according to weekly publication Nikon Taishu is pretty well-respected publication out here, Japanese Entertainment Insider. It's quoted as saying that the upcoming Lost Judgment will be the last entry in the series, quote, because, end quote, the insider explains, quote, those on the side of the game developer and those on the side of Kimura's talent agency, Johnny's. So Johnny's is a talent agency that goes way back here in Japan, are said to have been unable to reach an agreement regarding the platforms to sell the game, end quote. So, of course, Kotaku reached out to Sega for comment, but did not hear back prior to the publication. Judgment was originally released on the PlayStation 4, but a remastered version came out on the PlayStation 5. That's what I played it on, was on the PS5. It also was on Stadia, and Xbox Series X and Series S. And the sequel, Lost Judgment, is due to be released on September 24th for PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, S, and Xbox One. Now, what really frustrates me about this story is you have a talent agency that doesn't understand the internet. Only in 2018 did they create a YouTube channel. Yeah. So if I were Kimura Takuya, this is just me now. If I were Kimura Takuya, I would dump Johnny's. But the problem is these talent agencies have you lock and key, man. I mean, in Japanese culture, it's like you can't say no. You can't leave these industry, companies, talent agency companies, for some reason. I don't know. So I don't know. I just think that there has to be something that they could work out with this. I mean, there's been talk now that they might actually replace Kimura Takuya's, character for the third game, if there is a third game, But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of this story, man? Carl, I'll start with you on this one. What do you think, man?
Yeah, a replacement is where I would go. I mean, just who cares? Like, you've played the game. Are you really that attached with his face and that character?
Not the face, but his acting was amazing in the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
he's a great actor here in Japan. I mean, he's well respected, and that's why it sold really well out here. I mean, there was, of course, one of the characters in Judgment was dropped because of cocaine possession, Pierre Taki.
Oh, yeah. I remember that story.
And they had to take the games off the shelves and then replace his CGI with another actor and then put it back on the shelves. And that was before it was even released in the West. So. Yeah,
okay. So there's precedent for them to replace characters. I mean,
right.
They could just write him out. I mean, or maybe they could take, if they need time, maybe they do another story with a different character and they can work it out later, bring him back. Yeah. I mean, I think it's okay, I've only played Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
Which is the 7th game.
Right.
But actually, it's technically the 8th, right? Because there's Yakuza 0.
Right.
And all of those games, I imagine.
And let me stop you, Carl. And Yakuza Ishin, which you're trying to get me to play on stream. Yeah. And I will. Yeah. Since you have now become, I will say it now, since you have become a member of the family and have joined the team here, I will go and get Yakuza Ishin and I will stream it for you.
Yay. It looks fun. I like the idea. He's going to be using swords, and I think he uses other different weapons too.
Well, it's in the late Edo period, right before the Meiji Restoration. So
and it's like the model is Kiryu, right?
Kazuma. Yeah, same, yeah.
But it's not him. He's sort of playing the character, right?
But same facial features, everything. Yeah,
which I think is funny. I enjoy that. But what I was going to say is that so for 7 games. Kazuma Kiryu has been the lead character of that franchise.
Yeah.
I would get tired of that. So I think you look at this series and be like, all right, you've done 2. Let's do a new character. There's no reason we can't make the next game with a new character.
Yeah. Burly, what do you think of all this?
Yeah, I can understand where Carl's coming point. Let's try a new character and all that. Mm-hmm. But because I think I think a good portion of why it's selling in Japan is probably because
Kimura
of who
Takuya. Yeah.
I was going to say, I cannot pronounce that name.
Well, just a cultural point here, and all my Japanese fans and friends and everybody out here, they understand this, that the family name comes first. So in the West, you would say Takuya Kimura, but I say it like the Japanese would say it, Kimura Takuya. The family name comes before the given name. So
yeah, and in the Yakuza English version, they're switching that, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I say I think so because I don't play it in English.
Okay,
I played Judgment completely in Japanese. So yeah,
the English voice acting in Yakuza Like a Dragon is excellent.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely play it that way. If you know, it just you don't need to. If you don't speak Japanese, play it in English.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, but I mean, I would recommend playing, like, for example, Judgment. I would recommend playing it in Japanese with the English subtitles. Yeah.
Do they have an English dub on that one?
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I just, for me, it just sounds funnier if I'm listening to it not in the native language. So, I mean,
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. So, but
in my younger days when I was into anime.
Oh, shut up, Carl! In your younger days,
come
on, man, you're still young, man. Come on, you're still young compared to me, dude. Yeah.
I gotta say, it makes sense though because when I was into anime, I was probably like 15, right? That was like my heyday of anime.
Oh yeah,
so we're talking
for many people. For many people, Carl. Yeah,
right. That was in the 90s. So yeah, that's a long time ago now.
Oh, thanks, Carl. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, for me it was the mid 80s.
But in that time, I got to a point where I was like, yeah, I'm a purist. You gotta listen to it in Japanese with English subtitles.
Yeah.
But when I go back to stuff now, I'm like, nah, I don't really. If the English dub is good enough, I'm like, I'm fine with it.
Okay, so going back to Yakuza Ishin, so then if I stream it for you, you would not be interested because there's no English subtitles and there's no English track.
No, there's not a choice. Then what am I going to do?
It's only in Japanese, man. Yeah, because Carl and I were talking about it. Of those listeners out there that don't understand what we're mentioning here, Yakuza Ishin was the only Yakuza game that was not released in the West. Yeah, and it's only available here in Japan, and. It's basically a Yakuza game, but the setting is late Edo period Japan. Yeah. So
I found out there's another one.
Mm-hmm.
There was a PS3 one also that was it's in a different period.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you'll know the difference.
Yeah.
But
probably Sengoku Jidai. Probably that's like the the 16th century. So yeah, possibly. So. Okay. So I don't know. I just hope the Judgment series doesn't end. Maybe they have to replace Kimura Takuya, or maybe the talent agency Johnny's will get with the times and allow it to be released on PC as well. I mean, because the first one was released on Stadia, so why can't they let it be released on PC? I don't know. It's just.
I saw someone say that they think it has something to do with the fact that PC you can hack and mod that.
Yes, like facial rendering and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, could be taken from the files of the game, which you couldn't do from Stadia.
Right. Yeah. Okay, Burly, anything else to say on that? You good?
No, I think you guys pretty much covered it.
Yeah.
All right, so the other one is Yakuza Kenzen.
Okay.
And it says it's 2 centuries before Ishin.
Yeah, so it's a Sengoku Jidai. Yeah, so Sengoku in English means the warring states period. So like every prefecture in Japan was at war with each other at that time. So yeah. All right. So like there's a lot of games like with Oda Nobunaga and so.
Oh yeah.
those type of games. So in that time period, basically. So
it says Edo period 1605.
That's right at the beginning of the Edo period. I mean, basically, it's still Sengoku Jidai. This is a gaming podcast. We're getting into Japanese history now. My specialty, but still, the Edo period didn't technically start till around 1620. So, but yeah, close enough.
Hey, this is Wikipedia, so you know what? You should go and edit that.
Yeah, I should. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we got to move on here. So it's time for the topic of the show. So our favorite turn-based RPGs. So we're going to be discussing some of our favorite turn-based RPGs over the generations, what we like about them, and will they continue to be popular in the future? So I'll start because I have to be honest with you guys. I'm not the biggest turn-based gamer, but sorry to say that, Carl, but my favorite turn-based RPG is the South Park games.
Oh, those are great.
I loved those games so much. I mean, the Stick of Truth and the Fractured Butthole. I mean, it was so good. And just the stories. I mean, because I'm a big South Park fan. I've loved to watch South Park over the years, of course. And, those games. And of course, the Final Fantasy games, of course, Final Fantasy VII and all. And of course, Ni no Kuni is another, game I love to play. It's a turn-based. But South Park sticks out for me as my favorite. So, Carl and Burly, I'm going to throw it to you guys on this. What were some of your favorite turn-based RPGs? Burly, we'll go ahead and start with you on this one because I know Carl's got probably a lot to talk about in this segment. So, go ahead, Burly.
We could go back and forth,
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah.
I'm going to be kind of obvious here. The original Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. There's just there's so many entries in the Final Fantasy series, but one of the more recent ones that is up there for me is Dragon Quest XI. I don't know if anyone's played that.
Yeah, and 11S is on Game Pass. Yeah.
Yeah, I played the 11S on Switch. If I wasn't the biggest fan of Dragon Quest going to that, but I love that game. Yeah. It's a great turn-based RPG, especially if you're not big into turn-based RPGs and you're trying to get into it. I feel it's pretty beginner friendly at the beginning to help you out.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know some people don't count these, but the original Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal. Mm-hmm. Those Pokemon games really helped get me into RPGs.
Yeah, no, those are good RPGs. I mean, I'm more of the Red Blue era for me.
See, I started with Red Blue and Yellow, but just for the improvements that Gold, Silver, and Crystal brought, I have to rate them higher.
There's Fire Red and Leaf Green on GBA.
Yep.
Are those after that? I don't remember.
Yeah, that's the Gen 1 remix.
Okay, so they have all the enhancements. Those games are fantastic.
Yeah, and then on the DS, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, the Gen 2 remakes, just like it's insanity.
And then they're doing the next ones, which the Crystal one, right? Is that it?
No, Shining Diamond and
Diamond. Okay.
Diamond and Pearl, which are the gen that made me abandon Pokemon for a while. So it's going to be interesting going back to it. But there's a ton of RPGs I could sit here and for days.
Yeah, I'll go for one. I have 5 that I want to mention. Obviously, we don't have time to talk about all of that.
Yeah.
But the first one I want to mention, I have to, is Chrono Trigger. I mean, I don't know if have either of you played that?
Oh yeah.
I haven't.
Okay.
Sorry.
Chrono Trigger is, in my opinion, like the greatest turn-based JRPG ever made. And still to this day, I would say it is.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean, that's what a lot of people say. And and there's so many. I have to play it. I need to. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a long game. you can play through one run in a decent amount of time. I want to say like 25 hours, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like 20 to 25 hours, I think.
Yeah, if I had to guess. But I mean, this game has, its graphics are for the time, of course, but like the art is beautiful. The music is fantastic. The gameplay is great, of course. It's the story is incredible. It does interesting things that you didn't see. Like there's like a trial that happens in the game, and the way that plays out depends on actions you took earlier in the game, which is really cool. But it's the originator of so many things that you see now, or at least it's the first prominent example of things. Like, for example, New Game Plus, multiple endings. Seeing your enemies on the battlefield and being able to, like dodge them, not encounter them, combo attacks between multiple characters, doing these flashy attack moves. I mean, there's just all kinds of great things in this game. I mean, you can even like there's the way that multiple endings work is because it's time travel, and you can beat the game very early on if you can fight the main boss there's a time travel ship, right? And once you get to that point, you can then just go and fight the main boss of the game. And of course, you won't be able to beat him at that point in the game, but if you've done a New Game Plus and you go back, you can beat it. And the endings are different because you didn't do certain events in time.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. I highly recommend it, and you can play it on anything. I don't know if they're great versions, but you can play it on your phone. It's on Android.
Yeah.
The Steam version, from friends I know that have it, say it's not bad. I picked it up on DS like 2-3 years ago because Amazon had it for like $10. I got a brand new copy, and the DS. I know the Steam version's based off the DS version, which added a couple extra endings and a few things. I can highly recommend this game.
Cool. What are some of the other ones, Carl, you wanted to talk about?
Okay, Final Fantasy VIII. One of the ones that a lot of people kind of, for some reason, underrate. But I love the story. I played the remastered not that long ago. It's a couple of years now. And I mean, I think people kind of, I don't know, people don't like the draw system in that game because all your magic comes from drawing it from your enemies. And you have to like stock it, and you have to use those stocks to cast the spell. But once you wrap your hand around that, it's not a big deal. It's actually better than MP, because honestly, like when I think about it, like I kind of hate MP. Like I hate when you look at the fact that like a warrior can infinitely use his sword abilities, right? But a mage has to have a limited pool of magic. I'm like, you should balance that better,
Right.
In some way. But yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy VIII has a great story. Its gameplay is pretty traditional as far as these games go. But the Guardian forces are the summoning in this, and they're all fantastic. So you want to get all of them to see them all. I won't get into the details of the story, but it's something that I think appeals more to someone at an older age. When I was younger, I didn't necessarily appreciate the details and depths of what was going on in that story.
So Expat would like this, then, yeah.
If you play the remastered, you can. There's like kind of toggles, like you can fast forward and you can get sort of a boost to like. Yeah, so you can actually make the game really easy. So if you're struggling with something, you don't have to worry about it in that version.
I see.
I like 8's story. I love the card game in 8. That is the best out of all the card games that appear in the later Final Fantasies, like the 1 and 9 and stuff. 8 has the best card game. Give it hands down. For me, the draw system, I just got bored of going into encounters, spending encounters that should take nothing. Draw. Like, that gets boring. The remaster does fix that. And I know if you spend the time looking up online items and doing the junction abilities, where you the Guardian Force abilities, getting the abilities to take your potions and other items you get to make the magic.
Yeah.
But it's still a little too more grindy.
See,
for me.
I get that, right?
Finish it.
That complaint is valid, but when you're talking about JRPGs, there's always going to be some grinding element.
Yeah.
So like, okay, this game you might have to grind some drawing. Okay. I mean, but it's like any other JRPG. You're grinding something, right?
Yeah.
Always, if you play it, always draw from bosses. Don't forget. You might miss something.
Yep.
It's the little tip. You know what I love about that world is it does the whole like Naruto, Harry Potter thing of like there's students in the school and they're all learning some sort of whatever, and if it's either magic or ninja abilities, and this it's just like they're warriors, and it's fighting and magic. I love that setup.
Yeah. So
the others.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Carl. No, go ahead.
Oh, if you want me to keep talking.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay, Lost Odyssey.
Okay.
Oh,
which
that's a good one.
Yeah. Xbox 360 exclusive. This is in my opinion, the last real Final Fantasy game. Sorry for anybody who likes anything after 10, but this is it. This is made by Hironobu Sakaguchi.
Yep.
And it's just a perfect example of what the direction Final Fantasy was going, and where it should be if you're a purist of that type of game. Mm-hmm. Not that you can't have the new version, but I feel like they should be doing both instead of just one.
Mm-hmm.
And Lost Odyssey is that. It's great characters, great story, great music, all the whole nine. Great, new battle system that has different ways of leveling. Like your main heroes are these immortals, and the immortals gain abilities from mortals, right? So you have other characters in your party who aren't immortals, and you have to like link them, and you learn abilities from them for your immortal characters. It's just beautiful, like large, like what I love about like Yakuza Like a Dragon as well is like just this beautiful, large, great animated characters on screen, in battle.
Yeah.
You got to have that. I love it.
Yep.
And it's just deep, and it's full. It's a big, Final Fantasy type RPG.
So what turn-based RPGs that are upcoming, like later this year and into next year, that you guys are looking forward to playing? Burly, what about you?
Because I'm forgetting what is coming out that is actually turn-based. Like the obvious easy answer, Pokemon for me, even though it is a remake of Gen 4, I'm curious to see how much of it will change. And then for next year, Arceus Legends, because it's doing stuff different for Pokemon.
Arceus Legends is one I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, it's good and it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't a lot.
Yeah,
I think that's announced, right?
Not yet. Yeah.
That's the problem, is that there aren't big AAA. There's small stuff all over.
Yeah.
There's indie stuff. There's Edge of Eternity. Actually, that's out on PC now, and it's going to come out on Xbox. I believe that one's Game Pass when it comes out.
Yeah.
And that is by a studio who was inspired by Final Fantasy games, and their studio is named Midgar Studio or something like that. After
that's Midgar.
Yeah, after Final Fantasy 7. Not Midgard, but Midgar.
Yeah.
There's this Lost Eidolons game that I've been following, which is another indie one, a Korean developer. And that's your Shining Force, Fire Emblem type tactical RPG.
Yeah.
I can't think of.
I've got one. It was done by a Canadian studio that's coming out next year. They helped kickstart it. They did the Messenger game. It came out like 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago that Messenger game came out. So they've got one called Sea of Stars.
Sea of Stars.
Yeah, it reminds me of your kind of Chrono Trigger, because you got like the timed hits and stuff.
There's Echo Generation. I don't know when that's coming, but probably soon, probably next year, I'd guess. And that one is, like a retro art style, but it's sort of like an Earthbound type of game where you're these young kids in the town, and there's some sort of, like alien sort of thing going on. Yeah, man, it's unfortunate that there aren't big games, but yeah, I look forward to the next Yakuza game now and that announcement.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Judgment is still, based on the type of combat from the earlier Yakuza game, so it's not turn-based. But but now, the next Yakuza game will be turn-based. So
and
whenever that's
one of the
coming.
other games that was on my list was Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is a great example of the tactical strategy, sort of RPG version.
Cool.
And that hopefully a sequel will be announced soon, I would imagine.
Awesome.
And then the other one that was on my list, if I could just throw it in there, was Wasteland 3, because I wanted to put something very recent and different, like the American side of it.
Yeah.
Because Wasteland 3 is a tactical style, but it's actually also the big difference between tactical and like the regular turn-based RPG or your JRPG is that outside of battle there are things to do, right?
Right.
There's walking around towns, things like that.
Yeah.
There's quests and other things, and Wasteland 3 has all of that.
Yeah.
And Wasteland 3 has a great battle system and great side characters with stories, and all these different quests that you can do in different ways. Like the main quest line stuff can all be solved in multiple ways. It's a fantastic game.
Yeah, speaking of tactical RPGs, I haven't played it yet, but I've always been wanting to get into it and start it, but I just never had a chance to yet. Is Gears Tactics. That's one that I want to get into at some point.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it. I think it's really good. But again, it's one of those, like, that's a very strict tactical RPG where in between battles, there's nothing. Right? Yeah. It's just story or, managing your team, your party members.
Right.
And like, those are fun if you love that. And I kind of like that, but I always want more. I want there to be that in between.
Right. Okay, so thank you, Carl and Burly, for your favorite turn-based RPGs, our discussion on that. So with that, it's time to turn it over to Burly for his Burlynator Corner. So Burly's rant pertaining to his recent experiences with Capcom. Burly, take it away, my friend. Give us your take on what's going on with Capcom, man.
Yeah, Capcom. Any fans of my channel and you like Capcom games? Capcom ain't coming on my and no Capcom games coming on my channel for
that's BurlyMenGaming, yes, on Twitch.
Yes. Yeah. So for those that don't know, I had gotten Resident Evil Village for my PS5 when the game came out. I had it on a disc. I had nothing but crashes pretty much every stream session. I'd have about 3 crashes a stream session of a 3 hours session. Wow. So every time, and the nice thing, because I streamed it on Twitch, I made clips, made a ticket open with Capcom, gave them all the clips so they could see, and here's the video evidence, here's the time, and gave them like pretty much the times that would have happened that day and night. So I was working with Capcom, and they're like, okay, we need to put this to our one development team. Thank you for sharing. And then they have told me, oh, no, it's your PS5. And they're like, yeah, shit, your PS5. I was like, well, really, I have played Demon Souls on disc, Miles Morales on disc, and about so many other PS4 and PS5 other games on disc, no problem. So come again. And then they kind of admit to me, yeah, even if you send your PlayStation to get a new one or get Sony to repair it kind of thing, we're not sure that that's going to fix the issue. And they're not really. I'm like, I told them, I says, maybe it's a thing with the disc because I can't, from where I got the store, can't take the disc back because I didn't buy EB Games' warranty. Lord, I tried. Trust me. But so they're not willing to work with me. And I told them, I was like, I said, like, I wasn't asking for like a money or like just a giant pay thing. I'm like, give me a digital copy. Let's see if it happens if it's a digital copy. wouldn't entertain, wouldn't do nothing. They're basically been taking days and days to answer and giving me nothing. So it's like, you know what? I told them, I was like, this lack of support is horrible. That I buy your product, got it day one, and have had nothing but issues, and the lack of support is frustrating. So since they're not willing to support and help fix the issue, I'm no longer buying Capcom games, no longer going to stream their stuff, give them any benefit, and tweeting them on Twitter every couple of days till either they fix it or just more people realize, okay, if I buy a game and I have issues, Capcom support is not going to take care of me.
Yeah, you would think that they would at least send you a replacement disc or something. You know?
Oh yeah, like I said, send me a replacement disc. Like I told them, I was like, I will, like, I'm willing to work with you. I let them take time on this because I know things take time. But seriously, how could you have that and be like, yeah, we have no idea really, but not really want to work with it? It's like, well, why would I ever buy one of your games again?
Yeah.
Because I'll hit the unlucky lottery, and I checked with other people that had the game on different platforms, and no one had the problems I did.
So it's your PS4. 5, sorry.
Yeah, it's my PS5 that can play everything else fine. Demon Souls, no crash.
It's it's the Capcom and their poor code that PS5 can't handle, which is somehow the PS5's problem.
You know what's funny? I had Cyberpunk because and I played the first like 3-4 hours on that. Just never went back to it. It didn't crash on me. Day one Cyberpunk didn't crash on me, but RE8 did.
Yeah, Capcom, you take that.
Yeah.
They're out there giving massive amounts of refunds for Cyberpunk, but you can't get one for Resident Evil. That's wrong.
Yeah. And now it's like PlayStation people buying it up like crazy now on the PlayStation Store. Cyberpunk.
Oh, they are? Now that it's back?
Yeah. Yeah. It's exploded on the PlayStation Store now. Yeah.
It's a good game.
Yeah, it is.
I
mean, yeah.
But it's not like the greatest thing ever, but
yeah.
If you have a base PS4, I have no idea why you would pick it up. I know people that is like, oh, now it's back on there. It's like, there's a warning there, but and they're like, I didn't really say. I was like, that's not good. I was like, just to let you know, they're not going to refund you if you have a base PS4 and you buy that game. They ain't going to do shit for you.
Yeah.
Yep, that's over now.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I played it at launch on Series X, and I didn't have any. I mean, I had minor trouble. Yeah, of course, I ran into some bugs, and I had a couple crashes here and there, but nothing wildly out of the ordinary. I mean, I played Wasteland 3 a ton, and that game hard crashed on me numerous times.
Wow.
And I didn't. I mean, I got annoyed and mad about it, but luckily it has a good autosave system.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, that would just drive me crazy. But I love the game so much that I just kept going. And it's not like, I'm sure they're aware, and I was not the only one who was having those issues. But they didn't do refunds either because, I expect it for those type of games.
Yeah.
A certain scope of game, like your Skyrims, even State of Decay 2, right? People are like, oh, the game is buggy as hell. Yeah, because look at what the game is doing. I mean, it's a large open world with a lot of things that can be all over the place at any time. You can drop your items anywhere in the world. I mean, as soon as you do that, I think it's the common factor in a lot of these games. When you're allowed to drop an item anywhere in the world and it has to stay there, that's a problem for coding.
Yeah. 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 Going back to Cyberpunk just for a second, I played it for about 2 hours. And I just, because of all the news and all the issues that were going on with other people and stuff, I just got a little apprehensive about continuing with it. And, I just got sidetracked with other games. Haven't gone back to it yet. So I eventually will. But, with all these patches that have come out now, it's probably much more stable. We shall see.
Yeah, the story goes some really interesting places.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Silverhand he's a good character, and you want to make sure you follow his side story because you don't necessarily have to do all of it. It's really worth it.
Yeah, cool.
For me, I think it's the gameplay, which I think isn't the greatest. Like, it's fine. It's but I mained my character. I focused on melee.
Yeah.
And I had the Mantis Blades, and man, all I did in that game at a certain point was I would just rush up to everyone and just mercilessly slaughter them. And it was pretty much no challenge, to the point where, like, the final boss of the game, all I did was, as soon as he came up to me, I just strafed around him, slashing him repeatedly until he died. And I had no trouble at all.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's bad design, just so I'm saying.
Cool. Okay, so all right, it's time to get into the upcoming games for the week of July 19th through the 25th via Metacritic. So there are 6 games on the list. Like I was saying, next week's going to be long, guys. It's going to be like 16 games. So first up on the list, Chris Tales. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. Coming out July 20th for PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, PC, Switch, and Google Stadia. It's actually coming out on the Stadia too. So, Chris Tales is a gorgeous indie love letter to classic JRPGs with a new perspective. Peer into the past, act in the present, and watch your choices dynamically change the future. All on one screen as you play. Join the newly awakened time mage, Chrisbel, and her fantastical companions on their journey across a dark fairy tale world facing a grim future. So, RPG. So, have you guys heard of Chris Tales?
I have, because it's coming to Game Pass.
Yep. And
I was gonna say, that's the same way I've heard of it, because I've seen the trailer and seen it was, hey, it's coming to Game Pass, so it's like, sweet.
Yep.
I don't have to spend more money.
Yeah. Next up on the list, coming out on July 20th, Cotton Reboot. So shoot 'em up for PS4, Nintendo Switch. Carl, it seems like someone in the background there approves.
Oh, you heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a bit of a screamer.
Okay. Yeah, Japan's favorite shooter mascot finally gets a worldwide release as a beautiful HD game with stunning graphics and remixed soundtracks. This is the original Cute 'em up, and will test your skills as well as tug on the heartstrings as Cotton and her friends are finally back in the ultimate celebration of one of Japan's most beloved gaming mascots. Choose between the HD reboot mode or go legit with the X6800 original mode with pixel perfect graphics from the iconic Japanese home computer. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard about this one. This is pretty popular out here. So
no. Is he truly a beloved mascot in Japan over there?
Yeah, it goes back to the 80s, actually. It's pretty old. Yeah. So, next up on the list, Death's Door, coming out on July 20th for Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and PC. So, reaping souls of the dead and punching a clock might be monotonous, but it's honest work for a crow. The job gets lively when your assigned soul is stolen, and you must track down a desperate thief to a realm untouched by death, where creatures grow far past their expiry and overflow with greed and power. Talon-sharp combat, utilize melee weapons, arrows, and magic to overcome a fantastic array of beasts and demigods. Mistakes are punished and victory is rewarded. Gain an edge by customizing your character stats and mastering the abilities and upgrades you obtain. So, action adventure. So, yeah, I did a video on this on my YouTube channel. So, looks pretty cool. The art style looks pretty fun too. It looks pretty cool. So, Death's Door.
Yeah, the art style is. I do like the art style for this.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Okay, so next up on the list, Pokemon Unite. Here you go, Burly. Probably for you, yeah. On the Nintendo Switch, yeah. So, and coming later on in September for iOS. So, Pokemon Unite is a strategic team battle game being developed jointly by the Pokemon Company and Tencent Games Teamy Studios. Pokemon Unite is planned as a cross-platform game for Nintendo Switch and mobile devices and will be free to start. In this game, players face off against each other in 5-on-5 team battles. During battles, players will cooperate with teammates to catch wild Pokemon, level up and evolve their own Pokemon, and defeat opponents' Pokemon while trying to earn more points than the opposing team within the allotted time. So, Burly, you looking forward to this one, man?
No, I've actually played it. I got on the beta for Android.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure it plays better on the Switch, but this is not my kind of cup of tea game.
I see.
Not in my wheelhouse.
Okay.
I can understand people that like it and that will want to try it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably download it on Switch just to see how it runs.
Okay.
What is this one? I remember there was the Pokemon Masters one, right?
Yeah, this one is basically Pokemon League of Legends. Kind of easiest way to think of it.
Yeah. Mm. Okay, so it's a MOBA?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I played some League years ago.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, next up on the list, Last Stop comes out on July 22nd for PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, PC, and the Switch. So I don't know if you guys have heard about this one. So Last Stop is a single-player, third-person narrative adventure game set in present-day London, where you play as 3 separate characters whose worlds collide in the midst of a supernatural crisis. An anthology drama, Last Stop is 3 stories in one. What connects these 3 strangers? Where will fate lead them? So yeah, it sounds pretty interesting. It's the type of game that I would be interested in playing, these narrative type of games there. So yeah. And finally on the list, Orcs Must Die 3, coming out on July 23rd for PC, Xbox Series X, PS4, and Xbox One. So I don't know if you guys have played the Orcs Must Die series, but yeah.
I never have.
You never have, Burly? Mm-hmm. Mm.
I've seen them in my college back in the day when I was a student of college. They used to have TVs all over, and they would just to appeal to people video game reviews. And there were only 2 ever ones that they ever had. Orcs Must Die, the original one, and that Mario collection they did on the Wii.
Oh, yeah.
Where it had all the All-Stars collection. That's what it was. I couldn't remember the name. I'm blanking.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Carl, have you played these before? Yeah.
No, I haven't. I really don't know anything about them. I know now this one came out on Stadia though previously, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The Stadia exclusive Orcs Must Die.
Right. If it's good enough for Stadia, it's good enough for everywhere else.
Yeah, there you go, everybody. You heard it here. Orcs Must Die 3 ushers orc slaying mayhem to a previously unimaginable scale. I love how they say it. An unimaginable scale. Okay. It's funny how these press releases come out, man. They put this stuff out there. All new war scenarios pit players and their friends against the largest orc armies ever assembled. Mountable war machines give players the essential firepower to heave, stab, carbonize, and disarticulate the abominable intruders. Yeah, so
okay.
So, yeah. Yeah, so some you should see the ones the Japanese press releases that come out. Oh, I mean they're yeah. I mean they really need to be retranslated and everything. So it's funny. Okay, so Chris Tales, Cotton, Death's Door, Pokemon Unite, Last Stop, and Orcs Must Die 3. So my pick of the week would be Last Stop because of the narrative in it and 3 possible scenarios in that narrative story. Carl, what about you? Which one of the 6 would you pick for this week?
I'm going to go with Chris Tales because, again, it's on Game Pass.
Yep.
And I'm actually going to try to play it. I'm going to go out of my way to make sure I can talk about it next week.
Awesome. Burly, how about you? So it's not Pokemon Unite. So
it's all about the Orcs Must. No, I'm kidding.
On Stadia.
Yeah, I'm going to support Stadia. It's the only platform that makes sense nowadays. No, I'm going to go with the same as Carl, Chris Tales.
Okay.
Game Pass, that makes it so nice and easy, and I have the little Series S, so I could play it on my PC.
Cool.
So it's nice. I can just download it and try it.
Yeah. One game that I did download today and I was playing a little bit of was the Midway, the Arcade Origins. Yeah, I was playing some of that. That dropped on Xbox Live Gold. Yeah, I was playing some Defender. Yeah.
Defender. Okay.
Classic Defender. Yeah.
I
had that for Atari.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Okay, so that's the 6 games for release this week. So Carl, what games are remaining for the month of July on Xbox Game Pass, and which ones do you recommend to all the listeners?
All right. There are 4 games coming up still. Mm-hmm. And I think this is actually a really solid list to end this month. Of course, you got Chris Tales, which is July 20th.
Right.
From what I saw, though, Burly might wonder that, because you mentioned PC. It doesn't say that one is Game Pass PC.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Microsoft Flight Simulator on July 27th. Already out on PC, but now on Xbox. Doesn't need a description. I think we all know what that is.
Yep.
And then you have Omno, which is July 29th, and that's on Series X, S, Xbox One, PC. I have a description. I'll read it for you. It says, the indie game Omno is a third-person adventure by solo developer Jonas Mankey. It will take you through lush forests, across a sun-blasted desert, over a frigid tundra, and the power of a lost civilization will even carry you to the clouds. On the way, you will meet strange creatures, encounter many surprises, and maybe make a friend. Besides offering an interactive world, Omno challenges you with puzzles, hidden secrets, and obstacles to overcome in 3D puzzle platformer style.
Interesting.
And it's pretty. It looks nice. I checked out some video. I'm going to want to try that one too. It's also, if you're wondering, on PS4 and Switch as well.
Okay.
So interesting. Those. Well, actually, okay. I'll mention the next one too, which is The Ascent.
Yay. Yes.
July 29th.
Yay.
And that's Series X, S, Xbox One, PC.
Yep.
And the description is for some reason really short and just says The Ascent is a solo and co-op action RPG set in a cyberpunk world. The mega corporation that owns you and everyone, the Ascent Group, has just collapsed. Can you survive without them?
I can't wait to play this game. I'm really looking forward to The Ascent. Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, Chris Tales, Omno, and The Ascent are all launching into Game Pass.
Right.
Which is cool. And, 2 of those can be played elsewhere, but The Ascent is exclusive right now to Xbox and PC. And it looks really interesting. I'm not sure I'm going to like it. I do want to try it. It sounds like it has like actual deep RPG mechanics to it. I don't know. The gameplay looks to be some sort of like isometric shootery thing. I don't really know how that's going to feel in an RPG, but we'll see.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing that one. So, good stuff.
Yeah. The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Cool. So, thank you so much, Carl, for the remaining list of games coming to Game Pass for the rest of the month of July. So, before we conclude the episode, I want to let everyone know where you can find me on social media. You can find my YouTube channel for gaming content at youtube.com/expat2020gaming and at expat2020.live. My other social media links to Twitter, Instagram, the Arena Podcast Discord server, and the podcast website are at Linktree. That's at linktr.ee/expat2020. And I'm also a live streamer and a Twitch affiliate on twitch.tv/expat2020. And I do occasional gaming and special event live streams for the podcast, as well as a supplement to the show called the Arena Multiplatform Gaming News Week in Review live stream. And finally, we now have a special bonus series, which is part of the podcast called the Arena Extra Take, that focuses on spoiler and spoiler-free gaming reviews, game industry-related discussions, and interviews with special guests that goes up to Patreon exclusively for patrons. at patreon.com/thearena_podcast. So now that has changed recently. It used to be Expat 2020, but I've changed it to the arena_podcast. So please visit the site for further details. That does it for me. And Carl, where can people find you on social media, man?
Oh, I changed my Twitter handle, so now I am at Turn-Based Carl.
Yay.
Should be easier to find me.
Yeah.
Makes more sense than just having my name there. Although I made sure to keep that on another Twitter account because I don't want to be trying to steal that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything else, so Burly, you can go ahead.
Yep. Burly, where can people find you, man?
You can find me at Twitter at BurlyMenGaming. You can also find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/BurlyMenGaming.
Cool. And just some housekeeping about the podcast, too. I am creating another Twitch page for the Arena podcast. So that's a work in progress, so stay tuned for that. I'll be getting that, finalized sometime during the summer here. So I will be letting all of you listeners out there know so you can come follow us on that Twitch page as well, that Twitch channel, I should say. Okay. So, all right. To end the show, our indie recording artist spotlight. So this week's spotlight is on Funky Giraffe. Funky Giraffe is a multi-talented producer and instrumentalist specializing in saxophone, talkbox, and keys. Throughout his career, he has released 2 albums, collaborated with many leading local musicians, played alongside well-known bands, and created music and soundtracks for movies and TV commercials. From the title song of his album called Are You Ready For Me, Baby? This has been The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast, episode 45. I'm your host, Expat, along with our new member and co-host, Turn-Based Carl, and our other co-host, Burly of BurlyMenGaming. We hope to catch you in the next one. And next week will be our next week's episode will be the eve of the 1-year anniversary of the podcast. So I hope all of you will be able to listen to that. Me, Carl, and Burly will be there for you. So we hope to catch you in the next one. So take care, everyone. Peace out.